Witch Trials didn't just target Puritans. 3 enslaved women were also accused. This is the story of the one who never confessed, despite pressure, and her name was Mary Black. Now, when we think of the Salem Witch Trials, the names Tituba and the previous video on Candy sometimes surface, but there was a third enslaved woman also caught in the hysteria. Mary Black was of African descent and enslaved by Nathaniel Putnam, one of the leaders of the Salem village. The Putnams were one of the most powerful families fueling the accusations, but Nathaniel stood apart. He doubted the trials from the very start. He even defended Rebecca Nurse when she was accused. Now, on April 21st, 1692, Mary Black herself was accused of witchcraft. Samuel Parris examined her while the afflicted girls writhed and screamed, claiming she bewitched them right there in court. But unlike Tituba and Candy, Mary didn't confess. She held her ground, insisting she wasn't a witch. She hadn't harmed anyone. She didn't even know who was hurting the girls. Now, here's the twist. Her survival may have actually hinged on her enslaver, Nathaniel. Nathaniel never accused her. In fact, his silence in court spoke volumes. And unlike the other enslaved women, Mary didn't have to shift the blame onto her master or confess to protect herself. It was Nathaniel's skepticism that gave her enough space to argue her own innocence. Her trial was short, routine, and she pleaded not guilty. Now, even though she was still indicted and jailed, and spending a few months behind bars, her case went further into due process than the other enslaved women. Tituba and Candy had confessed. Mary never did. And by 1693, the court of Oyer and Terminer had shut down. Any spectral evidence and the visions and the fits that were used against so many were no longer allowed. No one came forward to testify against Mary, and with no evidence left, she was released. Nathaniel paid her jail fees, and she was brought back into his household. Now, Mary Black disappears from the record after that, but her story is very different from the others. She endured the hysteria without having to actually do a confession. And because her quietness was strategic and the protection of her master, she was able to survive. And the Black family in my series, Love Before the Rapture, are actually descendants of Mary Black.